Hi everybody, welcome to the tutorial on how to do the string art project. What you are going to have are some little containers that have white paint in them. You're going to have 2 pieces of black heavy-duty construction paper. You're going to have a length of string, and you're going to have some Q-tips. And what you're going to need before you start the project is you're going to need if you've got one, a brush to use instead of the Q-tips, but the Q-tips are perfectly adequate. You're going to need a container to put your paint into from the little containers you have. A plate would work, a small bowl, something like that, and a heavy book, like a coffee table book of some sort, etc. And if you want to make sure that you protect the book from any paint or anything, get some wax paper to cover it. I have the plastic covering that we have at the library on the book, so I don't need that. So, as I said, what you're going to do is put your paint onto your plate or into your little bowl, whatever you want to do, okay? And cover your surface with some newspaper or something else. This is acrylic paint. You can wipe it off of a smooth, hard surface, but if you do this on wood, which has got some kind of grain to it, or cloth, it's going to get in and you're not going to be able to get it out. So be very careful with that. Okay, so why don't you get everything prepared, and then I'll come back. All right, so now that you've gotten all of your work surface prepared and everything else, what we're going to do is going to take our one piece of our paper and we're going to fold it in half, and be very careful to make sure you line up the edges. Now, the other option you can do is just cut it directly in half, but I find it easier to keep it steady by folding it, and then you can cut it in half right down the middle if you choose to afterwards. So I have my folded paper here. Now, I need to get I need to open this up first and sort of flatten it out a little bit so that it stays flat for when you're gonna put the string on it. What you need to do is you need to cover your string with paint. And the easiest way to do that with this string is to just sort of drop it into your container or onto your container. I just want to make sure I don't get paint on my paper at all. I tried rolling it up and putting it in. That does not work. Don't try it. It got all knotted and then it was a real mess. So you just sort of take one end and you push it into your paint. You want to just get it really covered. And you can use your paintbrush or you can use the Q-tip. I'll show you. It's a little easier with a paintbrush if you've got one, but it works just fine. I'm sort of twisting it around a little bit because that just makes it easier, but you got to make sure that you really get this covered with paint. And I'm sort of dabbing it down because the liquid of the paint is sort of helping it stick. Now, you want to make sure that you leave a portion of this without any paint on it, because you're going to use that to pull your string out from between the folded paper. So I'm going to leave, I don't know how much it is, maybe 6 inches or so clear. So this part I'm not going to put paint on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of pull the string, but try to get some of the paint off of it here. So you don't want globs of paint. You just want to make sure that I got a glob there. Make sure that your string is covered with the white paint, and it's sort of hard because the string is white and the paint is white. So you can just sort of pull it and make sure that you see how I got a little bit of a lump in there? I'm going to push down on this end and pull it, try to get it flat, because that will show up as a big blop. That's a technical term on the paper, and that you don't want. And you just can sort of keep and make sure you're holding it away from your clothes, and you're going to hold your string up just straight up in the air. Then what you do is you take your paper and you kind of drop your string onto your paper very gently. You don't want it to kind of move around. You can twirl it around if you want to, like that. And then I'm going to let it hang at the bottom. Now what I'm going to do is fold my paper over carefully and grab my heavy book. Oops, I'm going to move my paint out of the way because I don't want to get paint on the book. I'm going to carefully put the book down on top. That way I don't have to hold it with make sure I've got it with my hand. And now I'm going to take my string, see my string, and I'm just going to pull it straight out. Again, try not to pull it out against your clothes because you won't get that off. Just pull it straight out. And then I'm going to put this back down on the newspaper because you guys have a second piece of paper, so you can do this again. And now I'm going to lift it up and let's see what happened. I hope it worked. See? So now I have that. The more you curve it around, the more loops you'll get. But I think this is pretty cool, and you'll get a mirror imaged string art. Now you can also do this on white paper with different color paint if you've got it. As I said, I'm using acrylic paint. This is what happened when I did it with two separate pieces of paper that I just put on top of each other. But you can see where I sort of dropped the string a little bit, so it kind of made this extra. I like it, but you may not. So you can do this on white paper. Try out any paper. I would not suggest using copy paper. That's going to be too thin, but any thicker kind of paper would work. Preferably smooth paper, not textured paper like you'd get with watercolor paper. So have fun, enjoy, and we'd love to see pictures. Thank you.